This episode of the WP Builds podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. Find out more at go.me/WP Builds. Hello there, wherever you are in the world. Very nice to have you with us. It's WP Builds. It's one of our webinar shows. We're starting a brand new series with this fine gentleman. It's Leonardo Losoviz. How are you doing, Leonardo?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for this invitation, Nathan.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love stuff like this. This is my bread and butter. This is what I love to do. Talk with clever people like you. We're going to be discovering an awful lot over the next 5 sessions. I would say 5 weeks, but I think at some point in the calendar we've got a little break. But the idea is to do 5 sessions. Leo has very kindly put a lot of work into figuring out what those 5 sessions are going to involve. But broadly speaking, it is all about a plugin that he has created, and it's a plugin which will allow you to do a surprisingly large amount of stuff in your WordPress website. I'm going to more or less guarantee that unless you are a super duper GraphQL nerd, that there's going to be some surprising, interesting stuff over the next 5 weeks. But probably the best thing to do, Leo, this being our first episode, we won't do this each time, but I wonder if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself to our audience. Just let us know who you are, where you are, how you became curious about WordPress and GraphQL, I guess.
All right. My name is Leonardo Losoviz. I'm from Argentina, uh, but I live in Malaysia, so it's night now here. That's why it's so dark in my place. And I've been involved with WordPress since 2012. I was helping a friend to uh, not to build his site, but to check what's going on with his site. And then I saw the dashboard and saw the themes and the plugins. I'm like, hey, I like this thing. And that was like more than 10 years ago, and here I am, still at it.
Yeah, but you really have built something really remarkable. This whole webinar series came about. I don't exactly remember because my memory is awful. But Leonardo and I have had. I'm going to call you Leo if that's all right. Can
Mm.
I go for that? Yeah,
Yeah, please,
thank you.
please.
Leo and I have been emailing for a fairly lengthy period of time, and I just thought this was the best way to explain what is a very difficult thing to explain by me. So Leo's going
Mm.
to take the helm in a moment. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping. If you are joining us live during this show, that's lovely. We would love your comments. One of the things that we're doing this for really is just to create a piece of video content. So it will be available on the WP Builds website. So, but that's lovely. But if you happen to be here live and you want to ask Leo a question, that'd be nice as well. The best place to do that would be to head to this URL. It's wpbuilds.com/live. If you're over there, you've got a couple of options in terms of commenting. On the right-hand side, so separate from the video, is a YouTube comment box. So that would obviously require you to be logged into some Google account, and then you'll be able to write a comment in there. Alternatively, if you look at the video player, there's a little button at the top right-hand corner. It kind of goes over the WP Builds logo. And you can pop out a live chat actually embedded inside the video. It's got nothing to do with YouTube. We're embedding from the webinar platform that we're using. So there's a couple of options for you there. I know that some people like to join us from Facebook. And if that's the case, if you happen to be joining us from Facebook today, we won't know who you are. Facebook keep your avatar and face. They keep that secret and we don't know who you are. You just come across as, I don't know, some sort of Facebook user or something it says like that. If you want to de-anonymize yourself, go to this URL, wave.video/lives/Facebook. I guess you need to be logged into Facebook at that moment and you can give your approval for those comments to come through. Once again, though, if you're joining us and you think your friends, relations, cats in particular, you'll see why in a minute. If you want them to be involved and you think that they might get some benefit out of this, why not go and share it? wpbuilds.com/live. Okay, I think that's enough commentary from me. I will take those comments away. and we'll hand it straight over to Leo. I will interrupt you, Leo, if I get confused or if I think something needs clarifying. Also, if I think a comment comes in that's pertinent, that might be of use for us to share. Actually, I'll just quickly say hello. There's a couple of people saying, Atif Riaz saying hello. WP Builds and Leo, thank you so much. And Patrick Posen, who did a series just like this a little while ago. He's saying, hi, much success, Leo. I see other people with fairly technical products taking the time to explain all the details in the WP Build Show, including you, Patrick. Thank you for that. Okay, so keep those comments coming in. So, Leo, it's over to you. Would you like me to share your screen right away?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Brilliant.
All right.
So it's over to you.
Thanks, Nathan. So, okay, hello everyone. This is a demo for Gato GraphQL. It's a new plugin. It's not in the WP repo yet because, yeah, it's in the backlog. It's waiting for approval. But hopefully it should be there quite soon because it's been over 2 months and I submitted around 2 months ago. Sorry, and they told me when I submitted that it will take around 2 months. So I'm hopeful that it will be the light of the day in WP in the wordpress.org/plugin directory quite soon. But for the time being, if you want to use the plugin, you can still use it already. So there's a website, which is this website is called GatoGraphQL.com. The logo is this beautiful cat that actually is my cat, which is there. Maybe I show it to you actually during this presentation, one of these 5 sessions, and you can download the plugin from here. So it's going to be 2 versions. I'm going to show you all the features, all the whistles and bells that we have in this plugin. So many of the things that I will be showing are the pro version, which is of course paid, but there's a lot that you can do with the free plugin. So I will encourage you to download it and check it out. And you don't have to download it straight. You can also play with it. If you come down here on the homepage, there's a link that it says take Gato GraphQL plus all the extensions for a test drive. So if you click there, it's a InstaWP sandbox so that you can open this and play with it without having to download it yet. And yeah, so I'm going to show. So we have a very packed itinerary, not just for today, but for the 5 sessions, because there's a lot that we can do with this. The idea for Gato GraphQL for me came from a couple of places. The first one is that I was building a website for myself long time ago, actually, like around 10 years ago. This was before React, before all of these shiny, dynamic technologies that we have nowadays. But in that moment, I started like noticing this idea of creating websites using components and needing to feed data to components. So actually the base code for what now is my product called Gato GraphQL actually started around 10 years ago, even before GraphQL. When I started this project itself, there was no GraphQL. It was maybe there on the minds of these engineers in Facebook. They were working on it, and I was working on a similar idea. Eventually, I decided to actually merge it with GraphQL because the GraphQL. I'm going to explain what GraphQL is, but it's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing that they have actually built. And I decided to go all into GraphQL and to also extend GraphQL. I'm going to show you features that you can do with this plugin, which are custom features that they are not part of GraphQL, but they still use the GraphQL syntax and they can take you to incredible places. So for today, for the first session, I'm going to show you a bit about the plugin, what it is, all of the different screens that it has, and what things it can actually do. Okay, so let's start. So this is my usual WordPress dashboard, right? So you can see here there is a link called Gato GraphQL. If we click here, we enter this screen. It's a client for executing GraphQL queries. So here on the central part is where one can compose the query. I just do this quickly now, and then maybe I will go into more detail. But here I can say, give me all the posts, and for all the posts, give me the ID and the title. And then I execute the query and it brings all the data. I can fetch also the author and the author with the name, and then it brings all the data. So basically, what GraphQL is an API. It's an alternative to the REST API. You have the REST API in WordPress. It's already baked in core. When you're using Gutenberg, Gutenberg is or the WordPress editor, right? Uh, it's communicating from the client, from the Gutenberg client to the WordPress site on the backend through an API, through the REST API. This is basically a similar concept that you have a query, you compose a query. In this case, this is the query here, and you say, give me the post, the title, the author, and then you bring the data, and then you do something with the data. In the case of Gutenberg, you will render the block, for instance. So this is how it looks like. Now, GraphQL has something called the schema. I'm clicking here on this item on the left. And the schema is basically all of the entities that you have on your database, all the data that you can access. This is how the schema looks like. Let's zoom in. So for instance, here you have the entity of the post. Here we go. And
Yep.
then you have all of the properties that you can access from the post. You can see it says are comments open, the author, block data items, blocks, categories, category count, etc. And when you click on one connection, in this case the blocks, it takes you to a different entity. Oh, we will arrive there.
Yeah, it's a lot. You put
Yeah,
a
it's
long journey.
yeah, very. I should zoom out a bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's okay.
yeah, and then from there you can actually go to different entities. So basically, what this is the WordPress database, but that is accessible through the GraphQL schema. So basically, what this is that you know the tables on the WordPress database. You know that you
Mhm,
go to the
mhm.
MySQL table and then you have WP underscore post,
Yep.
WP underscore post meta, WP underscore users, and you have these same tables. What you have is the representation of the entity. You have the post, you have users, you have tags, uh, you have comments, you have custom posts, and then from each of these elements you can go from one to the other. So the post has comments. So then you can say, give me all the comments. Then the comment has an author. So then when you're in the comment, you can say, okay, give me the author. And the author has posts. Then on the author, you can say, give me all the posts. And so on. So this is the what is called the GraphQL schema. If this is not clear, you can ask me about this. I know that it's basically like the WordPress database, but in GraphQL terms.
So, can I just ask a quick question? So, this is everything that's available on your website. So, on my website, where I may very well have some different things configured in different ways, this is going to be slightly different to me. I mean, broadly speaking, everything on a vanilla install will be the same. But if I was to have a modified website, I don't know, different custom post types or something like that, then I would see a slightly different variation here.
Yes
Okay.
and no. Yes, actually, yes, you're right in the sense that this has to replicate whatever environment you have. So
Ah,
if you have WooCommerce, for instance,
right,
you will
right. There's a good example. Yeah.
yes, then you'll expect to have the product entity and the coupon and the shop and the order entities. And then all of these, they have relationships with each other. Uh, for that, though, you will need to have an extension that adds support for WooCommerce.
Okay, we could probably leave it there, but okay, I get it. That
Yeah,
there's ways to do that, but we're not at that point yet. That's
yeah,
later in the journey. All right.
yeah. So, but no, but that is it's still a very important question, actually, Nathan, because the important thing with GraphQL is that it is not fixed. You can extend the schema. Actually, more importantly, what happens if you have your own custom post type?
Right.
Then your question is, oh, but that is not in your plugin. No, but you can extend it. You can if it is a custom post type, it is possibly already mapped. You have to check a box, say yes, please show it on the GraphQL schema, enable it. Or if it is a custom post type with custom properties that they have their own resolution, that you need to create some PHP code to fetch that data, then you have to extend the schema through PHP code.
Got it.
And that is
Okay.
an extension. So
Okay.
anyone can do it. And at the same time, I was mentioning how the Gato GraphQL plugin has two versions. It's free on one side, The free version, it's all of the WordPress core. So whatever you have in WordPress, comments, users, posts, tags, categories, all of that, blogs, also blogs, it's already included. That's part of the plugin. And then extensions for commercial plugins, or also like maybe not necessarily like commercial plugins like WooCommerce. Those will be commercial extensions that you can download and install separate, and then you'll start having the representation of WooCommerce and all the other plugins.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
No, I think you've covered that out perfectly. Thank you.
Okay. So one thing that you can see here on the left is that it's a graphical private, schema private, and now it says graphical public and schema public. So GraphQL, let's go back first to the client that I was showing you at the very beginning. So as I was saying, here you compose a query, right? And you fetch data. Give me what? Give me your users, right? And then the users, I want the name and I want the email. Here we fetch the data. And you might actually say, should I publish the email? Should I allow users, like visitors to my website, to query the email? Should this information be public on my API? Like the email is a rather private piece of information. You don't want to expose everything. So this is tricky in general terms for any API. The REST API also has this thing that you have to mention, which is the context in which you access the REST API, right? Depending on the context, there's information like the email field, which might be available or not. And this is very important for GraphQL, particularly for GraphQL. GraphQL, the way that it works, usually is that it has what is called a single endpoint, which is a URL from which you fetch all of your data.
Mhm.
So imagine that you have, I mean, possibly you have heard the term a headless application, right? A headless website. Actually, if you listen to WP Builds, for sure you will know, because I know that
Yeah, we've covered that.
we have covered that. Quite interesting and quite endless topic.
Yeah.
But what it has in common, the commonality from doing headless is that you're decoupling WordPress on the back end and a framework to build your website on the client side. You can use React, you can use Vue. And you basically fetch the data using the client. You call the WordPress site, the API, say, give me all this data that I need, and then you render on the client. With GraphQL, you have one single endpoint where you fetch the data. What data? Whatever you need. But what happens if someone else, which is not you, also accesses that endpoint and
Right.
and really explores the data that you have there? Because once again, the GraphQL schema is a mapping of the WordPress database. Not everything should be accessible. The user email may not, you may not want to publish that, or possibly the user as an entity. Maybe you just show a list of posts in your website, but you don't want to show the users who are creating those posts. So you just want to expose the post entity and not the user entity. So that's why here you have the graphical and the schema private, and then you have the public version. So this client that we're accessing here, you can see it's on my WP admin. But at the same time, there's a graphical that I'm opening here on a new tab, which is public. This is on the internet and which is accessible to everyone. So this is the same client that we saw just now. Post, whatever. Tile. Okay, here we go. But now everyone can access it. Now the important thing is that the schema for the private and the schema for the public one are decoupled. They don't have to be the same. So that means that you have complete, absolute access to everything for your own needs on the backend, on the WP admin, and you can limit what people can access on the public side of GraphQL. So now if I check this schema, I mean, in this case, it might be the same or not, but I have the chance to actually make them different, giving you less data. So basically the idea is to not publish stuff that people should not be able to access in first place, because, security issues. I mean, you're careless, and then someone accesses your data, and that can lead to big trouble. So you should avoid that uh, by not exposing the data in first place. So
So
this,
can I just make sure that I've understood? So you've
yes,
got these two different strands, if you like, of the plugin. You've got the private side and the public side. The public side will be available from outside on the internet. Anybody with a web browser will be able to query that data should they figure out, what the URLs are for that. And presumably, if the plugin grows in popularity, that will become more commonly known. On the other hand, if you would like to have things only available to you whilst you're in the WP admin, so as an example, email, if you want that to be available for the things that you're going to explain that you can do later, you can do that. It won't be available publicly, but it will be available through GraphQL on the private side to you on the because you're logged in and you have the permissions to do that. Is that
yes,
right?
exactly. You got it absolutely right.
Okay, perfect, great.
And actually, I'm showing you the public GraphQL client now, but by default, it's not enabled. I'm going to show you. So the plugin has modules, and these modules are basically functionality that you can enable or disable as you wish, right? Now, I think it is endpoint. Let's see. Yeah, here we are. So there is one module called the single endpoint. When you first install the plugin, this single endpoint is actually disabled. Now, if you see here, there's no more public side.
Got it.
There's only
Right,
the
right.
private side. So you actually have to enable it to be able to publish to expose your data on the internet, and only then, once you enable it, people can actually access your data. So I mean, it's all about the security, right?
So the default is private. You have to enable public. Got it. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
The private is always enabled because I
Yep.
mean, if for
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
nothing can go wrong. But the
yeah.
public one, you have to enable it.
Okay.
And for the purpose of this presentation, I don't need the public one. Uh, Actually, yeah, let's talk about that. Why private and public? So GraphQL, as we were talking just now, is for headless, right? So if it is headless, there are two different ways of doing headless. The first one is with a static site, possibly, like actually simply static, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Patrick. So basically, you can build your WordPress site and export it as static, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So when you do that, you have these frameworks for doing that. Actually, you have starter frameworks, starter like projects with Next.js, for instance, that you can have your WordPress on your laptop, like on your local host, and you get all the data and you build your site and you export it statically. So in that case, your site is you're fetching the data from the single endpoint and everything is fine because the website is on your local host. It never
Right,
exposed to the
right.
internet in first place. So that's fine. There's no security issue there. But what happens if you want to build a dynamic website, say like Facebook.com? And GraphQL, for that matter, was invented by Facebook. Actually, was released by Facebook engineers, and it is powering Facebook.com. So basically, when you use Facebook, you're using GraphQL. And say that you want to do something like GraphQL, like Facebook.com, right? You want to build a website as interactive like that. Then you need to have your single endpoint public,
Right.
and render the HTML on the dynamic side. Like it's not static anymore. This is dynamic, right? So in that case, you do need the single endpoint, and you need to worry about all the security issues. But something that I haven't mentioned yet is that I have another use for GraphQL, which is not just building website. It's not just headless, but it is doing all of the admin tasks that you might need to do on your WordPress site anyway. Like, yeah, my cat.
Ah, the cat. Yeah, it's Gato.
Yeah, this is the other cat. Gato, go away. Sorry
I
for
should
that.
say Gato. In which language is cat?
Yeah, this is Spanish.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, take it away. Sorry, someone is taking in
Yeah, take the cat. Take the cat. That's
the cat
okay.
away.
Yeah.
Okay, so GraphQL is much more powerful than just building WordPress like sites in general. You can send emails, you can create posts, you can call an external service, you can interact with external APIs, fetch data, you can post to Twitter, you can post to Facebook, etc. So these are things that you have plugins nowadays in WordPress, like social media share. You publish a blog post and it automatically connects to Facebook and it adds that to your feed, or it sends a tweet, right? But that action of connecting to Twitter or connecting to Facebook, you can do it with GraphQL, right? Or you send a notification to yourself, like, oh, there is a new post, or someone bought your product, and then you send an email to yourself, right? That email sending is just something that you can do with GraphQL. So what I want to say with all of this is that GraphQL, the way that I envision this for Gato GraphQL, is that just the private side of GraphQL on your WP admin, it's amazing for you to take care of your site and to create scripts that take care of everything. So something that you can do, right? I mean, we haven't seen a lot here, but you can also do mutations.
Ooh,
So America,
right.
you can query data, you can post data. So you can create a post. You can pass the parameters input, title. You say, hello, Nathan,
It's the best post.
content, uh, okay, something. Shut up. Uh,
Ideal.
yeah.
This is the best post.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shut up, cat. I thought it was hello, Nathan. Shut up.
No, no, shut up, cat. I mean, this cat is sitting next to me. I mean, they couldn't take it away. And then, oh, yes, the post ID. If this goes right, I have the status, and then I can see which are the results of this ID, status, and title, and content. So now I can execute this, and this it says that it has created a blog post. Now let's actually go to the post section. And here it is. Hello, Nathan. So I just created this using GraphQL. And it took me like, what, 10 seconds to craft the query, right?
Yep.
Um, so these tasks, you had to create a post and you know what the post is going to be. You can just do it through GraphQL. You need to send yourself a query, an email.
Same thing. You can do that. Okay.
Yeah, you can send email, etc. And all of these things, it's a script that you can store and you can then automate. And it takes a lot of pain away from repetitive. It takes a lot of pain away first from repetitive tasks, and second one, and that this is something that is the one of the most important things. It does everything because this is just data. So I was saying that you have a plugin for sharing on social media. Then you might have another plugin for duplicating blog posts, and another plugin for this, another plugin for that. What you can do is to have one single plugin, and then you compose a query, and you run the query, and that's what it is.
Oh, it's so clever. I mean, we will obviously, as the time goes on, you sort of highlight exactly what it can do, but that's a nice little teaser.
Yes.
So post to social media, send out emails. Basically, the sky is the limit. If you can imagine it,
Yeah.
you can do it. Anyway, sorry, I
Yes.
interrupted. Just a quick thing.
No, no, please, please.
Firstly, the first one is to say, first of all, Max is saying he likes the look of this. He said it looks great. That's great. But he also has a question. The private one, he's referring, I guess, to what we were talking about a moment ago, with an API key secret in a server to server context. Correct. Now, are you able to understand and answer that question, or does Max
I
need to?
assume that, yeah, I assume that the response is no in that sense because when you're in the WP admin, the authentication is based on cookies. So that's a bit of a problem. So then you will need to access the public endpoint, I guess. One thing that is possible to do is to access with the application passwords. Now, this is not done, but it is doable. It's actually part of one of the ideas that I want to do in the future.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Max, if that doesn't answer your question, please feel free to rephrase it and ask it again. And Patrick's still here. He's saying GraphQL, Gato GraphQL plus simply static equals, and then he's done the heart icon. So that's nice as well. Anyway, right, perfect.
Yeah.
Carry on, Leo.
Okay. I'm kind of running a bit out of time. Uh, Now this is amazing. This is a lot of power, and this is the best of WordPress and GraphQL. What I'm going to show you now. So I was saying that you can automate tasks. If you have a query that you need to run, like for instance, when you publish a blog post, share it on Twitter, and you already crafted the query, you don't want to manually copy the query into the client, as I
Right.
was doing just now. You can store it on the server. So there is something called a persistent query. I'm clicking here at new, which is basically the WordPress editor. And now here you have this client here, which is once again what we were looking at right now. So now you can actually uh, do the craft the query. Actually, you can also click on the fields
Oh,
that you
okay. So
see.
everything's on the left that is available if you don't know, and
Yes,
hopefully it'll be
yes. I'm sorry.
self-explanatory.
I'm sorry. I actually this is my problem because I have experience. I just
Yeah.
type the query straight.
No, that's okay. I mean, basically, on the left is a repository of everything that you can type. You don't have to type it; you can click on it instead. But it's all there. It's like your encyclopedia for GraphQL. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So this query, for instance, I'm fetching the block data.
Oh, all of it. One query gets you all of that. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
you can do all of that. Okay. And say that you need to access this all the time, then you create here this entry, and then you say like, I mean, block data, and you publish it. What this will give you is an endpoint on that URL that gives you all the data.
Ah, nice, neat.
So why is this cool? This is so cool for several reasons. The first one is now this query is stored in your database, right? Block data. You go away, you come back, and it will be block
Yeah.
data
Where
is
is it?
somewhere there. I think it's
Somewhere. It's in there somewhere.
yeah, it's at the end. Okay, it's somewhere. Block.
Yeah, but it's there. We get it.
Okay, here it
There
is.
you go.
Okay, so and you can run it again. You can run it as many times as you want. Okay, and also it's a URL. Now, the fact that this is a URL that you load here and that it executes, basically, I'm giving you the REST API. But this is the REST API without having to publish a controller. Normally, the way that it works, the REST API is that if you need a new endpoint, you go to PHP, you code it, and then you deploy it on your plugin, and then it is available. Here, it took me like, I mean, 3 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
And right? So this is like actually I like to say actually this is the best of three of the intersection of three entities: WordPress, GraphQL, and the REST API. WordPress because I'm using the visual interface of the WordPress editor. It's a game changer. That you come and then you edit everything, you publish in 5 seconds, you have a new endpoint ready.
Can I just ask a question? So, in the example of this particular query, this block data query, which we've seen, you ran it. Is that run once and it's stored like that, or will it? Can you run it on a? I don't know. Can you force it to be run like with cron or something like that, so that it runs periodically, or in fact just gets? I guess you could have another thing which says when a blog post is posted or published or updated or whatever, deleted, run again, something along those lines.
Absolutely,
Right.
you can.
Right. Right.
Actually, on maybe on the second or the third episode, we will see how to automate all of this.
Okay. Lovely. Okay. I've
You can run
got
it
ahead.
with cron, but
Yep.
this is also a URL. You know, you can actually copy this URL and give it to your friends
Yeah.
and tell your friends just call this URL whenever you want to ping me or do whatever it is that that your query is doing.
That is truly cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, keep going. Um, there's another thing that is that this plugin offers that is called custom endpoints. And also this deviates a bit from the idea of GraphQL having the single endpoint. Why is that? Okay, let me actually first create a custom endpoint to show you what it is. It doesn't have a lot here. It's just a tile. Okay, endpoint for Nathan.
Oh, the best. Thank you.
Yeah. And I publish this. Okay, published. Here we go. Now, once this is published, uh, what I have in this endpoint is it has its own URL, and it has its own client, and it has its own schema. So let me
Ha!
open this tab,
Ay, ay, ay.
and under this URL slash GraphQL slash endpoint for Nathan, now you have once again GraphQL, okay, and you can run your queries. Okay, there we go. Once again, this is now available on the internet. But why would we want to do that? Why can we have many endpoints? Because you might want to have different users accessing different data.
Got it.
So this is once again, this is WordPress. When I was building Gato GraphQL, I was thinking this is not GraphQL, this is GraphQL for WordPress. Who uses WordPress? I don't know, you might have an agency and you have a single source of truth for a lot of content for a lot of clients, and you want to give them access to their data and not to all the data. So how can you have a measure for them to access only their data? So what you can do, for instance, one thing that you can do is to make this is a custom endpoint. You can make it private. So here the visibility.
Oh, yeah, 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 just using the WordPress.
Yeah.
Ay, ay,
Actually,
nice.
let's do this one that I love. You can make it password protected. So
Okay.
okay,
Yeah,
my password
it's a
is
very complicated password, but yeah, we
name.
get the point.
Okay, I update. Now I go back here and I refresh this. And now it says, hey, you cannot access this anymore. It's password protected. And once I access this, Nathan, now I can access the client. So now you can give an endpoint just for this one client and say you can access your client. Like, oh sorry, I'm confused. Like there are two clients here.
Yep,
Your
yep.
client who pays you
Yeah,
money
yeah, yeah, the client and your client.
and the GraphQL client to
Yeah,
access the data.
yeah.
So you can tell your client this is your client.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And you can also enforce access control. So there's this thing here called schema configuration. And the schema configuration is a set of rules or constraints to apply on that endpoint. So let's see what that is, how that looks like. Let's go
Okay,
to
yeah,
the schema
yeah.
configurations and I create one new schema configuration.
Okay, so the ones that we saw just then, they come bundled with the plugin out of the box today, but no,
No, no, no. The
you
plugin
created
is
those. Okay,
yeah, the plugin is empty. All of this
okay.
is actually this is a testing site. If you actually if you the if you open the test drive from the homepage that
Yep,
goes to InstaWP,
yep.
it has all of this data because I mean I didn't want people to have like an empty site like okay what do I do
Right,
now, you know?
right.
So I created many custom endpoints and I created many persistent queries. But when you install the plugin, no, it's all
It's
empty.
empty in there. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So this is all the data that you can input to customize your endpoint. Namespacing is similar to PHP namespacing. That is basically a way to have different entities. Sorry, different plugins have the same entity name. For instance, WooCommerce has
Yep,
a product,
yep.
okay, and EDD, um, Easy Digital Downloads, it also has a product. What happens if both plugins are installed on the same website at the same time? Then both of them are installing the product entity. So there
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
conflict. With this, you can enable namespacing. That what it will do is to prepend.
That's
Can I
right.
say that?
Yep, yep.
Uh, a name like EDD or U just before the name of the product, and only in that case, then the entity will become U product and EDD product. Then you avoid all of these conflicts.
Yeah, avoid all the collisions that you might have.
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
Response headers. This is for course. You can set the course headers, so then you can actually access the website without the issues for course. Mutation scheme. We're going to see this maybe on the second session. There's
Okay.
something called nested mutations, which is basically you can say, give me all the posts, and then for each post, update this property of itself. So the idea that you can do bulk edits. You can query a bunch of posts, and as a property, instead of querying a property, you modify a property on all of them. That will be a nested mutation.
Oh boy, that's powerful. Wow.
That's
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah.
And multiple query execution. We're going to see that. We should see it today if we have time, and a bunch of other things. And the one that I wanted to show you, uh, concerning uh, the security, is access control. Access control is a list of rules to say who can access the schema. And here it shows the ones that you have created on the website. You can select this, whatever.
Yep.
This is another custom post type that I'm going to show you now. Let's go there. Access control lists. So I'm going to create. I'm not going to create because we don't have a lot of time. I'm going to open one that I have already created. So I have here one access control list that is called power users. That it says the field posts, and then these are the two fields. I'll show you later what it is. Only the logged in users can access this.
Okay.
This comments field, only the administrator or editor role, a user with any of those roles can access it. The custom post, only the author can access, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Okay. So this is a table. We've got things on the left, what you can access, things on the right, who can access.
Yes.
Okay.
So let
And
me let
all
me
of
add
that is bundled under the one title power users. Got it. Got it.
yes. Let me add a new entry. So here basically you say the fields. Okay, this field, this field, this field. Okay, so these will be the fields containing the private data for that specific client.
Yep.
And then you can say, okay, if it is public or private, I'm going to show you soon what that is. And then who can access this? You can say nobody can access this, or you can say by user capability,
This is such a neat implementation of Gutenberg.
or by user role, or by user type, which is logged in or not logged in, or by IP.
Ah,
And this is the one that I really like the most, because you can say, okay, client of mine, which is your IP, and then you can say, okay, you type that IP here, whatever it is. You can also do a regex. You can do this or something like that. I'm not the best with regex. And then you can say only this guy will be allowed. Let's see that actually, because this is very powerful. I have a few persistent queries here, which have this uh, validation by IP. So I execute the query, and it says the client IP address must not satisfy constraint, blah blah blah. Hence, I am not allowed to access that field, the field approved.
yep.
And
Yep.
so here I have it as null. It doesn't give me the data. Um, Actually, let me show you another one. And I know that I'm severely
Don't worry, it
running
always happens. But what
out of
you're
time.
it's amazing, like, essentially, once you've got familiar with the UI and you figured out what the permission, UI looks like and the UX for that is, you can go in, drill down, and set up really granular control of almost anything. I mean, there's probably some
Yeah.
limitations, but more or less anything can be allowed, disallowed on an IP, on a logged in status, on a username, on whatever it may be. It's remarkable.
The voice. Okay. Actually, there's something that I want to show here. I forgot to mention that we were looking at persistent queries, and you, Nathan, asked about the data, if the data is stored, or if you can refresh it, if you can access it again. And one thing that
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, here we are, so we'll do it now, is that the query is stored in the server, but it can still be made dynamic through parameters. So this one, for instance, right now it is showing 2 entries of posts. But if I say limit equals, let's say 1, now it shows only 1.
Oh, neat. Okay, so there's a whole load of URL parameters that you can apply, not just
Yes,
take the okay, okay.
yes, and actually, let's actually look at that because that's super powerful.
Ha! Sort of everything.
You have here the you basically you add the parameters in the query itself.
Yep.
You say limit, okay, you have to pass this, and by default, it gives you this. And you also say, should I accept the variable as URL params? You can say yes or you can say no.
Okay, so you can disable that if you wish. Okay,
Yes, yes,
got it.
exactly. Um, okay, I'm back to the. Let's see this. Is this one? Uh, uh, um, severely running out of.
Don't worry, it's okay. We can either extend it, we can either keep talking for a little bit, or we can punt things onto another episode. Don't you worry. Either way, we'll get it covered.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. But basically, if you access, power users. Which one was it? Uh, I know what I will do. I know what I will do. What's up, cat?
Yeah, the cat's
Let's
back.
create.
Wants to be near its plugin.
We create a new process query. Let's do it here. Um, users name display name. Okay, so this is working here, and I
Yep.
give it the schema configuration. I think maybe with power. Let's see if this one works. I
Okay.
publish I publish this, so now I have the process query. I open this. Okay, so in this case, the name has been disabled for this user, and let me see. Okay, perfect. Do you see my screen here? The
I see.
second
Yes, I do. I see. Yes, basically, I can see your
it,
mouse moving
that
around. Yep.
that it says you must be logged into access field, whatever,
Oh
right?
no, if you okay, so if you have some sort of pop up,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
no, we
Okay.
do not see that. I apologize,
Oh
but
well, let me. Oh
it's okay. So is this a browser pop up?
no,
Um,
yeah, because I'm in an incognito. Let me switch to my window share.
okay,
The
let me.
screen.
Do you want me to swap you over to the other one?
No, no, no.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. You had the other one, right?
yeah, I've got that available if we want to do
Okay.
that instead. Yep.
You have.
So what I've just done is Max was using Firefox, and so we were looking entirely at Firefox only, and now we've gone to Max's desktop. So hopefully whatever appears will appear. So you could run that again and see. There are some things that the operating system Mac in particular they just don't allow apps like Chrome to have access to things like I don't know notifications that the browser throws up and things like that. So we'll see. Maybe it'll come. Maybe it won't.
Okay. So can you see that I have two windows here?
I see two windows, one on the left, one on the right. You're on the right one
Yes.
at the moment. Yep.
The one on the right is incognito, so I'm not logged into WordPress.
Okay.
And you can see that here it says you must be logged into access field.
Yep.
Da, 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 da,
Yep.
because there was a rule that this display name only logged in users could access it.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So it wasn't a notification from the OS. It was just something. Got it. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. Yeah.
And the same endpoint on this other window where I am logged into WordPress.
There's
Uh,
no error, as it were. There's no
yeah, yeah, yeah.
message.
No, no,
Yeah.
it's perfect. It is great. This
Yeah.
other
It's
one, if you
not
go,
an error. It's like a notification just to say you can't see this. Got it.
yeah, exactly. So, okay. And, okay, let's go back to, oh, sorry, to this. So here it says, you must be logged into access field, taradan, for type, taradan. It's actually telling you what is the reason why you cannot access the data. And sometimes you think, do I want to explain the user that they need to have this role or this capability to access data? Like, no, I don't want them to know that this data exists. It has to be private. So that's what we were looking at before, that it was either public or private um, access, the access control. So let's edit that. There is one entry for display name. Gosh, I need to search for it.
That's okay. Take your time. Max just sorry, not Max. Patrick has posted in. Don't worry, these live streams are always running out of time. He's right. An hour
Oh,
is not as long as you think it is when you do something like this.
yeah, but I haven't even started with the recipes.
Oh, it's okay. We'll get there.
Unless we skip the recipes and we do a longer one
Yeah, we can
uh,
do that. We can do that.
next.
This is just a taster, just the
Oh, here it is,
beginnings.
display name. So you can see my screen, right?
Yep,
So I have here that the display name, it says default, but the default is public. So we put it as private. And now when I update this, uh, and I refresh here,
yep, it's gone.
now here the error message is different. It says there is no field display name. So
Oh, ah,
this is super powerful because basically what you can do is, you remember at the beginning I was saying that we have the private schema and we have the public schema, and they can have different entities. Maybe you don't want the user entity to be available on the public schema. So what you do is you select the field that is the user field and the users field, and you say nobody can access this, and you make it private. And when you do that, it literally disappears from the schema. So when you go to the schema, um, that uh, that client that you can click and then you can
yeah, yeah,
zoom
yeah,
in and you
yeah.
can zoom out and all of those things,
It's just gone.
it's gone.
Yeah,
There's nothing there. It
like you
completely
never knew
disappeared.
that you were even missing it.
Yeah,
It's unavailable to you in every sense of the word. You cannot see it.
exactly,
It doesn't exist. Got it.
exactly. And the rules, as we saw just now, you can say by IP. So if you come from this IP, the
Yeah, yeah.
schema looks like this. But if you come from a different IP, you're not my client, then it looks like this.
I get it. I am keeping up. This is yeah, I understand. So if you're, I don't know, you are, I don't know, X server over there with this IP address, you can get this information. But if you're a different server over here, you're entitled to this information. And we know what your IP address is. And so we've set it up in that way. What you're basically showing us is that it's infinitely configurable. And although the UI is full, it's a question of just sort of learning where everything is and figuring out what the options are, and that's what you're showing us. But I guess complexity means that, there's just a lot to look at. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
exactly. Yeah, for me, the important thing is this is an API. Let's start from there, right? The REST API is an API. But we're talking about WordPress. And for me, the issue is there's so much we can do with WordPress. How can this API truly power WordPress? How can it not restrict WordPress with whatever WordPress already allows us to do? Managing the data for our clients, right? Multiple clients, having one WordPress site at the top that then it distributes content to many other sites, like downstream sites, and you have to distribute this data or that data or this data. There are so many things that you can do with WordPress. So what I was trying to do is, okay, let's see how we can empower an API to not restrict WordPress, and you can do everything you can do with WordPress through these queries. And then you come here, you for your own personal use, you come to the graphical client and you call your query, and at the same time you provide access to the queries to their clients, and so on and so forth, right?
Yep. Yep. That makes perfect sense.
Okay,
Okay. So just for Leo's benefit, we're rounding out on the hour. I realize that
yeah,
there's probably a lot that you didn't get to show there. What do you want to do? I could certainly give it another 15 minutes if you want to press on, or if you want to just call it a day there and like rehash the episodes that are to come. It is entirely up to you. We've got a few questions to go through, so that'll probably
okay,
take 2 or 3 minutes. You
yeah,
make a quick decision, and I'm happy if you want to
yeah,
go for another 15
okay.
minutes or so.
You can see my notepad here, right?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the
Okay,
live demo. This is what we were trying to get through.
yeah.
Where did we get to?
So this was session number one, and we
Yeah.
have done this. We have done the introduction. I gave you a very long-winded introduction, and I haven't even really shown everything that I want to show, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We have seen running the queries in the admin. We have seen creating the API endpoints, the custom endpoints, and the persistent queries. We created a custom endpoint that was password protected, and you can also create it private. And we have seen access control. Similar to access control, that is caching. I'm not going to show this because of for the sake of time, but it works the same time. You select what fields are in the schema, and then you say which is the time that they need to be cached. And when you access them through get, not through post. So just now, with the graphical client, everything is executed through post, and through post, nothing is cached. And we're talking about HTTP caching. But if you access it through get, you have the URL. For instance, with the persisted query, that can be cached on the server if you have a plugin, or on a CDN if you have, like, once again, simply static, right? uh, that you access the static files, and you're normally accessing them through a CDN. You can do the same here with GraphQL, that you can access your API through a CDN and then cache the results. And this is all automatically calculated, so that a query that it includes this field and that field will have this max age. And if you have this other field and this other field, you will have a different max age depending on the value that you can configure. So this is actually very valuable, but I'm not going to go into this.
I'm just going to raise the fact that Max asked this as a question. He did actually say, "Can we cache queries for a time?" So I think we've had an answer to that, asking if this makes sense for performance. So depending on how
Yeah,
you get that
yeah,
query, the answer is
absolutely,
yes. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And actually, this is really powerful because the caching and the timing of the caching depends on the fields that you provide on the query. So you can be very fine grained. You can say the user's username will never change. So then the caching for that is 1 year. Uh, but the username or the description, maybe they will change it every now and then, so you can give it a caching of 1 hour. And the user, I don't know, comments, maybe because the comments, they can be posting comments all the time, every 1 minute. And so it's very, very
Yeah,
fine
very
grained.
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you have
Very
that,
granular
that
indeed. Yeah,
power.
yeah. So what do you think, Leo? Do you wanna keep going for a little bit, or do you wanna call it a day there and come back next week with a slightly different configuration of the schedule?
Yeah, I think this is good. I think I've shown quite a bit.
Okay, that's perfect. Right, in which case, let's just ask a couple of things. Max, thank you for all your comments. Patrick as well. That's really, really great. Hopefully, there'll be people watching this after the fact. But so this goes back to the question that Max asked quite a while ago about the private public, and we weren't entirely sure what he was talking about. And he says, in response to that, I was asking because I was thinking if I use WordPress as a headless backend, and in my client JS application I wanted to log in a client and access recipes to create modified posts on behalf of the user. So I guess that clarifies what he was saying. Does that alter what you wanted to say back to him?
No, no.
No, that's fine. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. He also says, yeah, we've answered his caching question. Uh, oh, you want the other one? Do you want that one? Yeah, nice. We've got two screens, and one of them was going to infinitely recursively show us. So we've had that caching question. Is there there it is. Oh, so that's in answer to that. Da, 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 da. This is the one I wanted to find. What in today's presentation was the free version and what was a paid upgrade add-on? Probably we'll get to that in the future, but I don't know if you just quickly want to address
Yeah,
whether or not everything today was free or not.
yeah. Access control and caching, that's paid. Everything else is free.
Okay, thank you. So the vast majority of what you saw was available for free, but access control and caching was not. And then Excel Vita, very informative and useful presentation in short time. Looking forward to the next episode with dynamic query. So yes, we will be back. I imagine that the schedule might change a little bit. What we thought we were going to do might be a little bit extended because of some of the things that we maybe didn't get to today. But we'll be back this time next week. So we'll be back at, well, 3 o'clock UK time. I think that's 10 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back next week and we'll continue this journey. And the idea really is that after 5 or so weeks, you will have a full comprehensive go from beginning. That's what we did today, right to the end. And you'll be able to watch them back to back. So if today's episode left you wanting more, we'll be back next week and we will give you more. So I guess, Leo, the first thing I need to say is thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us that introduction. Hopefully, got some people's brains whirring about the kind of things that they can do. It will all become clear in later episodes what it is
Yeah.
that Leo was doing today, because it may seem a little bit dry. It may seem a little bit, stuck in an editor. You've got to write
Mm.
things out and so on. Stay with it. Stay with the course, and
I'm
you
so
will.
excited. I want to show the use cases.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
exactly.
showing
And
you all of the potential features. Now I want to show you what you can do with this.
yeah, and that's the secret thing, right? That's the point. Once you get to what it can actually do and not how you do it, you're going to be lapping this up. It's really, really incredible. Okay, so one more little comment, just Mayaro, just saying hi, I guess. Nice for you to join us. Thanks so much. Okay, we'll end it there. We will be back in a week's time. Thank you so much to Leo for chatting to us today. I'll see you next week, Leo. Take it easy.
Thank you.